Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV. It's Wednesday night. We talk about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. I think the league that's jumping out at this moment is Super League B, a bit of musical chairs there between first on the log, second on the log and so on. Tonight we'll be taking a look at some of the highlights in Super League B. Of course, Paarl up against Franschhoek was our featured game. We'll be speaking to the Franschhoek captain, Jeffrey Whitelane, their coach, Jaco Stadler, Paarl captain, Oswald de Thomas, as well as Paarl coach, Lorenzo Peterson. A big thanks to Hisense on board with Cape Rugby TV as the official technical partner. MChem 24-hour pharmacy, they're of course on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. Springbok Atlas, your bus transport provider for any of you that are needing to travel, away games. So special prices available for clubs. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later. And of course, Score energy drinks. Score on board with Cape Rugby TV and on board with Western Province Club Rugby and so many other clubs out there. And of course, looking forward to the sevens a little bit later in the year. Well, as I said, we will be taking a look at the highlights between Franschhoek and Paarl in a second. But let me first introduce my panel. Jerome Parvater, nice to have you back.
Yeah, JP, good to be back again. But it's with this Wednesday, Saturday games, it seems like just a day apart when we were here. So it goes so quickly.
Yeah, you certainly got your hands full at the moment. A lot of young talent to go and look at. Yeah.
A lot, and we also played yesterday against with the under-21s against Boland, the senior side. So it's non-stop. It's just going on.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Junaid Murat, nice to have you back, Junaid. We haven't seen you for a while.
JP, thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Lots happening.
Well, we're looking forward to speaking to you tonight because so much attention is on Super League B at the moment. I think a lot of people are wondering who's going to go up, who's going to go down. It's very close in Super League B. As I mentioned, it's like musical chairs.
Yeah, no, it's you know, as they say, it's sort of the heart of community rugby, and we've seen over the past few years that Super League B is where the musical chairs happen, like every week is, can't predict. So,
but I mean, Jerome, one would probably expect that a little bit, that Super League B would always be such a close game because you've got teams that are potentially making it into Super League A, and then at the same time you've got teams that have just come down from Super League A. So certainly the top 6, 7 or 8 positions in Super League B is always going to be tightly contested.
Yeah, it's always competitive over the years. And I don't think it will change. As you say, teams coming down from Super League A is sort of stronger, and teams coming up also prove that why they could come up because they also amongst the top 6 now. Yeah. And it is very competitive. Any team can win on any day.
Yeah. Right, folks, before we take a look at the match between Franschhoek and Paarl, let's quickly take a look at the results in Super League A. Of course, we've got some Wednesday games at the moment as well. And you would know that last week SK Wilmers played against Vix. That was a Wednesday game with a win for SK Wilmers over Vix, 41-26. So that's a Wednesday game. And then, of course, on Saturday, SK took on NTK. 37-32 win for them there. Vix with a 50-13 win over St. George's. Stellenbosch beating Durban 82 points to 5. False Bay with a win over Tygerberg 42-12. UCT 47-21 over Villages. And UWC going down to Union Mill. We're going to take a look at the team lineups in a second. We're going to take a look at Durban. We'll take a look at UWC's season still coming up. Jerome, let's start off here. Last week, Wednesday, was a Wednesday game. SK Warmers, looks like they're starting to find a little bit of momentum. It's a little bit late in the season, but they're starting to put the points on the board now with a good win against Vix and then another good win against NTK.
Yeah, I think, JP, with the Ramadan, you could see it had an effect on the Muslim clubs. And they normally, after their third game, that's where they start to build momentum, and that's where SK starts to become dangerous and get wins in, because they were struggling in the beginning of the season against not so strong sides. But now you can see, I mean, they're beating teams convincingly.
Yeah. Junaid, you got any thoughts on SK's rise to power here?
Yeah, look, I agree with Jerome. It does take about 3 or 4 games to get into the swing of things. I know they beat Hamilton's a few weeks back, so it's a couple of good wins for them, and they'll probably end off strong.
Do we see that there's a bit of an impact here now? Many of the clubs did not play those friendlies SK Womersville was one of the clubs who did not play the friendlies during the water shortage season, if we want to call it that. Do you think that had any impact on it? Because I know that if we look at the likes of Franschhoek and a lot of clubs, they played lots of friendlies.
Look, it's SK, I think they played a few, but remember that the month of Ramadan, they didn't play at all, and immediately the week after that, you had to go into a competitive league match.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Wednesday, like there's no buys for clubs like, that came out of Ramadan. They play week in, week out. And what makes it even worse is they've got to play on a Wednesday as well. So, it could be from a conditioning point of view, they didn't play too many preseason friendlies because they've got a lot of games coming up and after each other. So that player rotation is probably very important right now.
Jerome, let's quickly take a look at, I think, the big surprise for everybody here, the log leaders, Durban, who incidentally still are still on top of the log. And we will look at the log in a second in Super League A. Your silent assassins, which you had predicted might come through the ranks here, Durban. Well, it looks like. Did you go watch the game? Any idea? I mean, 82 points to 5, or is Marty's just coming like a rolling train?
No, but I must say I watched the previous game, Durban in UWC, and Durban started to struggle. They actually struggled. The score was quite tight till 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It was 26-22. So then I thought it's not all good here, and I knew. If Stellenbosch fire on all 8 cylinders, they're going to give them a tough time, which happened on Saturday. That youngsters, that Stellenbosch side, they run. Durban were a few old guys in there, and but it was a big surprise. That score is it's just like Stellenbosch just looks like they're on another level.
Yeah, I mean, is it not perhaps a question that Durban might have peaked too soon in the season?
Yeah, you were saying now, JP. It's also because they were playing a lot of. They almost played every week also in the pre-season. So, and I don't know how they maybe rotate their players, or they pretty much play with one team, or how they play their players, because I think they start to get tired now.
Yeah. The other match that is interesting here is UWC going down to Union Mill. If we take a look at the log, and let's quickly take a look at the log in Super League A. Durban at the top of the pile then, followed by Stellenbosch, False Bay, Union Mill. But there you see UWC sitting on number 14 on the log. Okay, folks, so if we take a look at UWC, we've actually taken a look at the log season, Jerome. UWC now sitting at number 14 on the log. They've got 7 games under the belt. They've still got another 8 or so matches to play, but sitting with only 5 points and in the bottom 3. Let's quickly take a look at their season at the moment. I mean, after this loss over the weekend, UWC really now are in serious trouble.
Yeah, and I know Chester, Lionel and Bola, they're not happy with what's going on at the moment. It's actually a big disgrace for them to be like that, and I think that the students of UWC must understand that varsity shield is way gone. The league.
Are we not talking about different players though? The varsity shield and the varsity cup and all that?
No, they have the same players because they're building for next year, which they're actually doing well. And their oldest player, JP, is 23 years old. So it's a learning school for them, which is good because that's more or less the team, the same team that's going to play in the varsity cup.
So let's take a quick look at UWC's season ahead. We know that they of course were late out of the blocks, but there you will see now their first match was up against UCT. That was a loss, 33-16. And then so it goes on with away games, home, away, home. Now this coming weekend they face Villagers at home. Then after that it's SK Warmers away, Bellaha away, and then followed by that the Hamiltons, False Bay, Brackenfell. Those are still a couple of tough games coming up. It's Villagers, SK Warmers. SK Warmers we know is firing at the moment. Bellaha's still having a bit of a rough season, but then they play False Bay and Hamiltons at home. They're going to need.
They need to pick up points because I don't think they want to play. You don't want to play next year Varsity Cup, and the year after then you want to play Super B. So that's a big disgrace for them.
So we also know that in Super League A, teams 1 and 2 are guaranteed semi-final positions, and then teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 go into the knockout phases. Now Durban is sitting at the top of the pile at the moment. Let's take a look at Durban's season. There you see Durban, of course, with a 42-0 starting win over Villagers at the beginning of the season. After that, it was win at home, and then a win away against St. George's. They lost their first game to False Bay, 34-37 away. And after that, it was a win against Belhar, Brackenfell, and then, of course, away win against Vix, and then a home win against UWC. And then this coming past weekend, a loss to Stellenbosch. Still some difficult games coming up for UWC. Their game this weekend is away against UCT. We know that UCT is starting to gain a bit of momentum. SK Warmers, a bit of momentum. They'll be playing that game at home. And then after that, it's still Hamilton's and Tygerberg. So Durban pretty much look like they're guaranteed to be in the top 6. But at the moment, will they be able to keep their position in the top 2?
No, if you look at the games that they still have in hand, it's not easy to go play UCT there at UCT, because UCT also have plans this year.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of older guys in, and they've been winning a lot of games, so it's going to be tough for them. And also SK at the track is going to be tough. So they have tough games, JP. They might, if they not focus on this few games, they might end up lower as we think that they will be.
Yeah. Well, folks, those are some of the interesting matchups then for Super League A. Let's quickly look at the fixtures in Super League A then. This coming weekend, Belhar against Stellenbosch. Vix and Brackenfell, of course, these are probably the Wednesday games tonight. NTK up against False Bay, SK Warmers against UWC, UCT and Hamiltons. Brackenfell, UCT, NTK, Stellenbosch, Tygerberg, UWC and Villagers. We did pull out some of the potential stats here. Let's take a look at Vix up against Tygerberg. And as you see, it's very equal at the moment with a 43-44 win ratio for Vix and Tygerberg. They are sitting at log positions 9 and 8 on the log. Average points per game 40 and 29. Tries per game 6 and 4. Jerome, just looking at this, or Junaid, if you want to jump in here as well. If I look at this, Vix are up or have it against them at the moment on win percentages. But Tygerberg, on the other hand, are up on win percentages, and but are scoring less points per game. Junaid, I don't know what's your feel for this, Vix Tygerberg?
Look, obviously the win percentage is quite close. Tries, Vix, what is that, 6-4. Look, Tygerberg struggling a bit, so that's showing there in the stats. I mean, 4 tries compared to Vix is 6. So let's hope Tygerberg can pull some rabbit out the hat, and
You seem to be another one that's rooting for the non-university sides.
Look, from a resources side, we know that the universities have the facilities and the resources, and they've got a lot of backing there. They've got big teams. They've got thousands of players. So I'd obviously look out at the community clubs and try and get them to compete.
It's interesting that you say that, because we see a lot more community activity now from Tygerberg, and they had the Springboks out there last week, and the connection is certainly there with the Tira. Jerome, any thoughts on the Tygerberg Vix game?
Yeah, look, it's always going to be a tough one, because if you look at the Tygerberg defense in defense of Vix, it's and Vix like to throw the ball around. So if Tygerberg don't jack their defense up, and Vix that last 20 minutes, they just run you to pieces. So it's going to be very important for them to step up that last 20 minutes. That's where Vix normally get all their points.
Yeah. All right, folks. So that's a wrap for Super League A. There's going to be some very interesting games this weekend. Also, we're starting to see now the kind of get a feel for where we're going to end up in the season. For those of you that have just signed in, many of you will know that Springbok Atlas is, of course, on board with Cape Rugby TV and transports many of the sports clubs in South Africa to wherever their destinations are. So if you need to book yourself bus transport, then Springbok Atlas is the transport provider for you. With semi-luxury and luxury coaches, they're safe, they're reliable, and they've got really great prices for you for your club. Just contact Rashad Luki on 506-2572, or you can email rashad.luki@springbokatlas.co.za. rashad.luki@springbokatlas.co.za, or phone him on 021 506 2572. All right, so get a hold of them. Great prices for the clubs. Make sure you get hold of them to transport you to your next away game. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at Super League B and, of course, that match between Franschhoek and Paarl. Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV. Right, as we mentioned earlier on, it was Paarl against Franschhoek. They're playing musical chairs in Super League B at the moment. First half highlights. Let's take a look there. This week, though, we're going to ask Jerome Parvata, and of course, we'll ask Junaid as well. Junaid knows the Paarl region intimately. But we'll ask Jerome Parvata to give us a little bit of game analysis after the first half and second half. So we're not only focusing on the tries and the conversions, we are actually going to take a little bit of a look at some of the scrums and lineouts as well. So first off, highlights, Paarl, Franschhoek. Junaid, if we, you know these teams well. We're going to take a look at your Vineyards stats in a second. But your feeling on the Paarl Franschhoek game? You've obviously played against these guys. You know how they play. They played at your home ground.
Yeah. Look, obviously we knew this was a big clash. It was top of the table. I think they were before Saturday even up on points.
Yeah.
So it was a big one. We played Franschhoek earlier in the season, and you know, we knew it was going to be a tough game. Look, both teams, I think, were evenly matched. They play a different type of rugby. I know Franschhoek come in that last 20-25 minutes and they start spreading the ball, and you know, they bring some speedsters onto the field. Paarl, we know they've got a very good coach, they sort of play a more structured game, and you know, they sort of stick to their guns. So it was a very interesting game, and there was a lot of spectators. Obviously, we know Franschhoek comes with busloads of people.
Hopefully, if they're coming with busloads, hopefully they're using Springbok athletes. Let's take a look at the second half highlights. Right, so it ended up with the win for Paarl, 25 points to 23. Junaid, just looking at that game before we go to Jerome on the technical analysis, the one thing that does stand out for me, what I noticed there was Franschhoek's fly off. We saw it in the first half. We haven't seen a really big fly. He looked like he was a really big fly off. Slotting the conversions or penalties, that was the one thing that jumped out for me. And also just how much the ball was going through the hands.
Yeah, look, that 10 is a solid guy, solid fly off. His place kicks are really good as well. And yeah, like I said earlier, the ball was going through the hands, and all the tries were sort of coming out wide, and you know, the Oaks were giving the ball some flight, and that's how Franschhoek plays, and it looks like Paarl was also trying to sort of bring that aspect into the game. So it was a very exciting and interesting game towards the end there.
Jerome, a close game then, 25-23. You've got to take your opportunities. I know you're going to give us a bit of an analysis there, but I did see a couple of handling errors. Balls going to hand, dropping it, sort of not sure where the ball's going to be. Can't make those kind of mistakes at this level.
No, you can't. There was once where the prop, where the scrum off pass to the prop, and I thought he didn't expect that ball from Franschhoek. If they'd caught that ball, I think the way Franschhoek would have played, they could have capitalized on that. So, yeah, it's just bad handling from that prop there. And yeah, I just think that lots of experience in the Paarl backline. I saw PJ Vermeulen. He used to play under 21 for me, and then he got a contract with Griquas. Played there for a lot of games for Griquas. I saw Denzel Demas playing outside centre to him. So that's lots of experience there, and Freddie Miller also for Paul on the field.
Freddie Miller, I didn't see Freddie Miller. Was Freddie Miller?
Freddie Miller was there. Yeah, he played scrum off. So he's at Paul. So they've got lots of experience. So so it's actually well done to Frans Hoek. I mean, they never gave up that fight there. And I saw also I know Tapeti. He's a centre, but he played fullback for Frans Hoek. I don't know what happened there with that. I don't know if he got a card or something with that high tackle there in the air.
Well, but, I'm not sure if it was a high tackle, if he went up for the ball and he didn't kind of just maybe body weight.
No, the Paul guy jumped up for the ball and he sort of went underneath. If you just touch the guy and you fall on his neck, that's
well, maybe my eyes are not what they used to be.
It's bad.
All right. Folks, we managed to catch up with Jeffrey Whitelane. He's, of course, the captain at Franschhoek.
Ja, de game was een beetje tijd geweest, was amper zo'n toetswedstrijd geweest. Ja, was nou die game voor plankerij. Ja, de game was een algemeen goede geestespeel, zal ik zeggen. Typische derby game. Ja, PL met een goed span kon ik voor met een goed achter kon ik voor zo hier zitten. Ongelukkig het een paar besluiten die ons gaan en zo van die bal. En 2 kaarten gekregen, dus een beetje gekelder. Wat ik al zei, het is een beetje haast, maar nou ja, het is de realiteit. Je moet spelen met wat je hebt. Ja, dat is best gedaan. Ongelukkig. Het is van wat die minste fouten gemaakt hebben. Ja, kijk, ons is een redelijke bijen, jongspan. In ons leer, elke game leer ons uit en ons raakt sterker. En ja, ongelukkig dat we dag verloren, maar dit is het einde van die liga. Die liga wordt eerst aan het einde van die dingen wordt eerst gewend. So. Ja, als wat die verloren, maar als ik voor hem toe, dat is weer positief. Ja, voor eerst van game voor game. Top 2 is ons mikpunt voor einde van die liga-wedstrijden. En dan is het top 6. Als we in de top 2 eindigen en dan is daarvan verder, wie was nou top 2 dan heb je een quarterfinal bij je en dan speel je een semifinal thuis. So. Dan is je klaar 1 voet in de Superliga A. So. Voor eerst is ons mikpunt, eerste of tweede. Ja, volgende week thuis in Kraaifontein, eerste thuisgame na 6 liga-wedstrijden. As ons weer thuis, ons 5 keer te speel. En ja, ons is baie loyale toeskouers. En hulle soos ek sê, hulle bring Frans Hoek oral waar ons gaan, oral waar ons speel, as eintlik 'n thuisgame vir ons, omdat ons toeskouers bring omtrent die hele halwe Frans Hoek bring ons saam.
Ja, weet jy, eerstens ek wil net dankie sê vir die man van bo vir vandag, dat dit rugby het geseëvier. Ja, ons almal het gewees is klas van die top dogs op hierdie huidige oomblik, alhoewel die liga ver gewen is. Ja, ek dink kon seker enige kant toe gegaan het. Ek meen almal het my jou eie sê dinge hoe jy verloor die wedstryd, maar dis nou gedane sake, is hard om die verloor te vat, maar jy moet die positiewe sien uit. Ja, nee, ek stem saam. Ek meen ons het ons kansse gehad wat ons kon afgerond het en ons was nie klinies genoeg nie, miskien 'n bietjie oorywerigheid, oorhaastig sommige tye en miskien te lank aan die bal, maar ek bedoel dis dinge waaraan jy kan werk en dit kan regmaak en as it all comes together dan gaan die bom bars en soos ek sê is kan nie wen as jy 2 rooi kaarte kry nie. Is maar een van die dinge. Ja, ek weet ek dink ons is baie geseënd. Ons het nog nie regtig ernstige beserings gehad nie behalwe iemand se enkel gebreek. Ons is relatief gelukkig. Ek dink kondisionering is goed. Ek dink dis hoekom die manne nog uithou. En soos ek sê, ons almal werk maar aan 'n mikpunt op die einde van die jaar om in die top 2 te eindig. Dis ons mikpunt en is nog steeds haalbaar. Game vir game nederig en doen net jou beste. Ja, weet jy, eerstens ja, dit is ek moet sê is Frans Hoek se supporters is loyaal. Ek dink oral waar ons gaan, kom hulle saam. Ek dink soos hulle sal sê die derbies, ons is die meerderheid mense die afgelope 3 weke in 'n ry wat getravel het. Dit is taai, maar ek kan net dankie sê vir die gemeenskap wat elke week in en uit die rugby spelers ondersteun en dis hoe ons die jong manne op die regte pad hou en onsself ook op die regte pad hou soos jy sê, voordat daar nou 'n rower wegkom in Frans Hoek, maar ja, dit is maar hoe dit is en as dit nie vir hulle is, kan ons nie speel nie.
Jaco Studler and Jeffrey Whitelane talking to us there from Franschhoek, staying positive. Folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll be speaking to Oswald Thomas. He's the captain of Paarl, and Lorenzo Peterson, of course, coaching at Paarl at the moment. Remember, MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. They're available for all your pharmaceutical needs, orthopedic needs, sports nutrition needs. They've got a clinic upstairs. Jill, Mr. Malach, and Lee, always available there with friendly family service, free parking, and open 24 hours a day. The only 24-hour pharmacy that I know of. We'll take an ad break and we'll be back with Lorenzo Peterson and Oswald Thomas in a second. Then we'll take a look at the rest of the matchups and stats for the other leagues.
One of our greatest assets are our fans, the faithful. And we really wanted to create something unique, something world-class. A supporter club that engaged and interacted with all our fans, not only within the Western Cape, but regionally, nationally, and in fact internationally. We have the best fans in the world. And we believe we put together the most amazing, unique and innovative supporter program. And we call on you to stand together with us. Are you one of the faithful?
Welcome back everybody, it's Cape Rugby TV. For those of you that have just joined us for the first time, every Wednesday from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I repeat, of course, on a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Nice to have combined development from Durban, the New Jersey, up with us here at Cape Rugby TV. Developments happening there at Durban, and we'll be taking a look at what development or combined developers do a little bit later in the season. Right, it was of course Paul up against Franschhoek. We're going to take a look at the Super League B log in a second, but let's catch up now with the Paul captain Oswald Thomas and Paul coach Lorenzo Peterson.
Ja, altijd. Dat is wat er verwacht wordt. 1 en 2. We altijd dit dank brengen. Eerstens, de Vader, dank je voor elkaar genade wat ons weer kan. Zo op die dag weer kan het gebeuren en voor hem alle eer. Dan zitten we vooraan zoeken, we altijd verwacht. We kan gezien het ook in het verleden en tot vandaag toe. Het hebben we altijd goede game gegeven. Dat alles 7 dag in. Hulle het reg gebring het van zoek het. Reg ek moet nie hoet wel vir die 8 voor vaste velocia wel het. Oor dit geweet hulle is 'n bietjie voor as hulle is goed dus kom ons gaan hulle voor aanvat en daai was die game plan. Bietjie voor grind en so en einde van die dag het dit geweek. Ja, het altyd 'n bietjie diepte nodig en soos jy nou sê, die ouerige manne, hulle het altyd die wysheid en so die plan hier en inspireer altyd die jong manne. En dis hoekom hulle is. Ja, as jy 'n paar foute, dis hoekom ons weer lekker lank week om aan te werk. Ja, ek dink die week moet ons as jy 'n paar foute meestal lyn staan en hy goed dat ons uitsoort, vaste was dit eintlik. Daai is steekpunte en daar sal ons konsentreer. En dan wil ek nog 'n ding sê ons die wen kom eintlik van ons die manne oefen hard en hulle sit in. En op einde van die dag as jy hard werk en insit, dan sal dit wys op die veld.
Ja, ons gewete gaan dit 'n titaniese stryd wees. Ons wil graag ingaan in die 10de game het ons geoogmerk in die begin van die jaar dat ons graag wil eerste of tweede lê. Maar ons het regtig nie verwag dat dit so hard gaan wees nie. Ja, daar was 'n groot ophef gemaak in sosiale media oor die wedstryd. Soos jy weet, is 2 omliggende dorpe wat grens aan mekaar. So ons het altyd geweet dat ons ook 'n groot skare het, maar ons geweet dat ons ons goed moet voorberei en ons die spelers ook sielkundig voorberei vir hierdie wedstryd. Ek het baie hard gewerk die week aan ons vaste fasette, ons scrims en ons lynsane en ons het hulle baie onder druk geplaas. Voornamelijk scrims, ons het 2 penalty tries gekry of penalty steen hulle gekry in die scrims. En ons het 'n paar van hulle balle ook gesteel in die lynsane. So ons het geweet dat dit die aspek van die spel gaan wees waar ons die oorhand sal kry. Ja, die ervare manne, ek meen hulle ervaring dra groot by tot die sukses van die span. Hulle was al deur dit, veral hierdie wedstryd wat ons gespeel het. Selfs ons afrigtings paneel is ook die jaar maar niet. So ons probeer maar kyk om te verbeter op dit wat laas jaar daar gesit gewees het. Ja, dis die tweede keer wat ons nou top lê en ons het 'n bietjie kort gekom teen Kuilsrivier. Die laaste keer so ek dink lessons learned. Ons gaan vorentoe kyk en ek dink nie ons wil graag weer wil ons 'n wedstryd verloor nou weer.
Right, so Oswald Thomas, of course, the captain of Paul, and Lorenzo Peterson, the coach at Paul. Jerome, what jumped out there for me was 2 things. Was Oswald Thomas, the captain, saying just how hard they practice. And it obviously goes to show that if you want to win or you want to stay on the top, you have to practice and you've got to work hard to get to the top. On the other side, Lorenzo Peterson says he didn't expect it to be so tough. So it's a good measurement of both sides, the captain and the coach saying, well, we've worked really hard, but they realize that they maybe didn't expect it to be so hard, but it comes across almost like they're enjoying the fact that they're working hard and getting the results.
Yeah, and it's also good for them. I mean, you don't want to go into any game that's that's not competitive.
Yeah.
So it's good that so they can reap the rewards because they work hard, and it is competitive, and they still manage to win games. So that is positive, and that is good. And what their coach is saying there is also with all that experience, you could see on a tight game, that's really where experience come through, and with that experience guys just took them through to win that game. And also tough on Frans Hoek, because they had 2 red cards in that game.
Really?
To be that competitive, it's also very well done to Frans Hoek to manage almost to got the winner at the end there.
Well, we said it earlier on, the log has been changing. Really, the top has been changing between, I think, Kelsriver, Frans Hoek and Paul. You know these teams, as I mentioned earlier on, you know them intimately. The work ethic, I mean, Frans Hoek's not from Paul, but the likes of Paul and Vineyards and so, I mean, you're in the same league with, although when you're speaking here, you're speaking in neutral capacity. But what can you tell us about the work ethic? It certainly looks like the top 3-4 teams have got a very good work ethic.
Look, yeah, definitely. Frans Hoek, I know Frans Hoek quite well. We've been playing them for years, pre-season friendlies, and it's the first time in a long time that we're in the same league. But they also put in the hours, they put in the effort. They sometimes, it's a small community out in Frans Hoek. Sometimes they practice in the afternoon. Even they get together on a Sunday.
Is it fair to say there's less distractions?
Look, I don't know. I don't know the situation within the communities, but I know that there are times that they could get together at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock, because the players are they probably live, close by in the same road, and, it helps. And that's why you could see with the gears that they bring, the crowd, and they're a very tight-knit community, and they put in the hours.
Yeah.
And then Paul this year as well, we both practice on Dal Josephat, and you can see the numbers at the practice field. I think they practice like 4, sometimes 5 nights a week. Like they would separate their forwards, would practice on one night, and then the next night the team. So Oaks are putting in.
I can see Junaid doesn't really want to talk about this.
I agree with what he said. Because I think last year I went to Frans Hoek. I mean, the field is full of people, and they walk. The players, they literally live next to the field. They walk to the field, and also the spectators, JP. It comes out to watch the training session. It's amazing. It's like a game day.
Well, it's like less distractions.
It's like not much. So they train like they play. They have their noise there. So that's actually what you want. And Junaid, what? One good thing that's happening in Paarl now, with all the teams are playing competitive in Super B, and hopefully we'll see a few of them in the Super A. I was just wondering what it would like, you guys can pick a team in Paarl, like a regional team. I think they can beat almost anybody with the amount of talent that there is in Paarl, and the teams that they have there. If they do that exercise, I think they can be
make a very strong. If you created your own league out of all of those teams, you'd have a very strong league.
Yeah,
it might be interesting. Right, let's quickly take a look at the other results then in Super League B. So it was a win for Helderberg, 37-24 over Collegians. Frans Hoek went down to Paarl, as you know. Good win for Primrose, 51-12 over Peneel Villages. Peneel Villages, however, have beaten the likes of Kelsriver already in this season. Rangers, 45-29 over Kraaifontein. Vineyards going down to Kelsriver, 17-12. And then Young Peoples are going down to Bellville, 21-17. Let's quickly take a look at the logs in Super League B. Paarl is still at the top. Frans Hoek, Helderberg, Kelsriver, Bellville, Primrose, Vineyards, Hamlets. So a little bit of a changes here. We're seeing some real changes in the log here already. Kraaifontein was dominating in one stage. Hands and Hearts were on roll. Peneel Villages, they were really firing. But still at the top, it's the dominance of Paarl, Frans Hoek, Helderberg and Kelsriver. Junaid, is Vineyards going to make a comeback here?
Look, we got 25 points on the log. Kelsriver has 30, and we've got a game in hand. So
All right, let's quickly take a look at your matchups then for Vineyards. Yeah, we see it on the screen right now. You've got you started off the season with Primrose. Then, of course, it was an away game against Hands and Hearts, then Young People's, All Saints. Then you had 4 games at home. Franschhoek, Peneel, Villages, Rangers and Kuilsriver. Junaid, you now have 4 games away. Helderberg, Collegians, Paul, you see them on the screen. Hamlet, Kraaifontein. You're sitting at, I think, number 6 on the log at the moment, 7 on the log. You've got Helderberg away, Collegians, Paul. Where do you anticipate? Do you think you're going to make? You think Vineyard's going to make it into the top 3?
Look, it's going to be tough. Obviously, we want to end sort of on the top half of the log, seeing that it is our first year in Super League B, and our aim was just to be competitive. And so far it's we had 1 or 2 slip-ups where we could have won the games, but it's a good learning curve for the players, and they're gaining that experience, being the first time in this league. And I would say we're sort of fairly pleased with the way things are going. If we can pick up 1 or 2 wins in the next 4 away games, that will do us well, possibly to end top 6. But we'll take every game as it comes.
We'll take every game as it comes. The coach's favourite words. We'll take every game as it comes. Then the other words that they always tap on the interviews is all credit to. All credit to, and we'll take it one game at a time. Oh, and the other thing is, of course, back to the drawing board. These are the catchphrases that all coaches and captains use when they do the interviews. Right. Folks, let's quickly take a look at the fixtures coming up in Super League B this weekend. It's Franschhoek up against Kraaifontein. All Saints up against Primrose. Kuilsriver taking on Collegians. Rangers and Hands and Hearts. Bellville and Paul. Helderberg and Vineyards. And Peneel Villages are up against Young People's. Kuilsriver Collegians looks like it's going to be a standout match. That might be one of the games that we'll be taking a look at this weekend. We'll take an ad break. But before we go to the break, folks, remember, Springbok Atlas, of course, on board with Cape Rugby TV. Book your buses, your away game transport with Springbok Atlas. Just call 021 506 2572. Speak to Rashad Lucky, 506 2572, and get those special transport prices for your away games. We'll be back after the break. We'll take a look at the fixtures in Super League C, the Northern Southerns, City Leagues. Of course, no PAL games on at the moment.
One of our greatest assets are our fans, the faithful. And we really wanted to create something unique, something world-class. A supporter club that engaged and interacted with all our fans, not only within the Western Cape, but regionally, nationally, and in fact internationally. We have the best fans in the world, and we believe we put together the most amazing, unique and innovative supporter program. And we call on you to stand together with us. Are you one of the faithful?
Alright, welcome back everybody, it's Cape Rugby TV. If you have not downloaded yet the Cape Rugby TV mobile app, then all you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or onto iTunes and download just search for Cape Rugby TV. It comes up on Google Play, it comes up on the iTunes Store, and you'll download the mobile app. I was just looking at this now. If you want to see those team matchups, just go to the fixtures and look for My Team, and you can find your team and the special stats available there. Remember, Score Energy Drinks is on board with Cape Rugby TV. Score on board with Western Province Club Rugby. So many of the clubs, as well as the Sevens. If you want to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks, you can simply just tap on the icon on the mobile app and SMS us. Just SMS the word SCORE to 33090, 33090, and you put yourself in the mix to win a case of Score Energy Drinks. Congratulations then to last week's winner, Melvin Green. Melvin, somebody from Cape Rugby TV is going to be in touch with you shortly. You see the Score logo behind me there, Score Energy Drinks. I love using the Score just before a workout, before going to gym or whatever other sporting activity it is. I try not to drink it immediately before a show because maybe I talk too much on my rugby show. But certainly for general day-to-day uplift or before a training session, whatever sport it is that you're doing, a little Score kick gives it a real boost so that you have a great workout. Right, let's take a look at the results now in Super League C. Blue Jets 34-31 over Strand. Kylamore went with a 1-point win over Elsie's 36-35, just very close there. Macassar 57-12 over Young Wesley's. Goodwood with a win over Manenberg Rangers. Scottsdene with a win over Young Stars, and Silurians with a win over went down to Strand United. In the logs then, it's Macassar sitting at the top of the pile. Kylemore, Goodwood, Strand, Lunga. Those are your Super League C logs. All right, so let's quickly take a look at Macassar as one of the teams that are featuring this weekend. Macassar are this week have a bye this weekend, but let's take a look at their season. They are currently sitting at number one on the log in Super League C. So there you see it now, Macassar. The first game was up against Strand, then it was a home game against Busy Bees, home against Scottsdene, and of course away then to Goodwood and Manenberg Rangers, followed by home to Lunga. It was pretty much a dominant season for them. The only draw that they then had was against Goodwood. If we just go back to that Macassar season, you can see there that their next games are up against Elsie's. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend they're playing away. Then it's home against Kylemore, away to Silurians. Of course, the Violets game is not on the cards, and then that means it'll be a bye for them, and then Blue Jets will be their last game. Jerome, we were an incredible season for them, unbeaten, other than the draw.
I think their toughest game is Kylemore.
Kylemore, oh yes, well, Kylemore currently sitting number 3 on the log.
Kylemore is going to be a tough one for them, but the other games, they're doing pretty well. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Well, anyway, they just need to be in the top 3. So the Macassar boys doing really well. Let's take a look at the City League results now. It was a win for Perseverance for Kelly's 24-14. Last week was a midweek game, of course, hence the reason that it's featured here, not only weekend games. Kelly's then beating Silvertree. This was a derby match over the weekend by 1 point. And then CPUT Gardens 84-0 over Perseverance. Temperance, Watsonia game we think was postponed. Western Zebras with a 24-14 win over Hamadias. And Masipumlele, well, they've got their momentum back again with a 56-8 win over Young Ideas. In the City League then, or let's take a look at the fixtures coming up in the City League. It's Caledonia Roses up against Western Zebras this weekend. You can expect that to be a very tough match. Hamadias against Young Ideas. Masipumlele take on Progress, Watsonia, Police and Silvertree, and Perseverance. There are 1 or 2 games there that I would rather not want to look at the score next week. Let's take a look at the Southern League now. In the Southern League, Retreat with a 20-17 win over Rocklands. It was Thistles with that went down to Lagunya 31-21, and then Titans with a win 36-21 over Bishop Lavis. In the Southern League fixtures, then it's Thistles up against Retreat this weekend. Atlantis are up against Lagunya. Bishop Lavis take on Noordlikkers, and Rocklands take on Titans. Let's take a look at the results in the Northern League. Blake's points on the board with their, well, not quite points on the board, but going down to Strand Pioneers 61-10. Blue Stars with an 85-10 win over Emikawi. Eerste Rivier 48-21 over Khayelitsha. Whistling Wheels 31-27 over Van der Stel Evergreens, which probably a result that jumps out for us. And then Windmill United 31-40 loss for them against Wraithby. I think that, Jerome, the one that jumps out there for me is the Whistling Wheels win over Van der Stel. Yeah. Van der Stel have been very strong in the Northern League. It's been between Van der Stel and Wraithby and Blue Stars, also playing musical chairs in 1, 2 and 3 in the log. And one would say they're definitely a good win for Whistling Wheels.
Yeah, very good win for them. And it's also like, yeah, any team there can also still win that thing.
Yeah. All right, folks, let's take a look at the fixtures coming up in the Northern League this coming weekend. It's Blake's up against Delft. Imikawi take on Stellenbosch Coronations. Wraithby and Eerste Rivier. Windmill United take on Khayelitsha. Whistling Wheels and Blue Stars. And Strand Pioneers are up against Van der Stel Evergreens. So some tough matches there. Jerome, any game plan fixtures for you this weekend?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Bellville Paul.
Bellville Paul.
That's going to be a tough one.
Bellville got home ground advantage.
Bellville got home ground advantage, so it'll be a tough one.
Junaid, I'm assuming that you...
Where do you think I'm going to be, JB?
You'll probably be with Vineyards over the weekend.
We will be in Alderberg, yeah.
You'll be playing away this weekend.
Away, so it's going to be a tough one, but we're looking forward to it.
You guys got all your boots tied up and laced up and ready to go?
I hope so. I'll follow up with the coaching staff and I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, all right, folks. If you're not watching rugby this weekend and you are doing any painting at home, then remember Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road is the shop for you. And they will spec your house, they'll give you paint at the best price, and you'll save yourself a lot of money. Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road. That's a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. Don't forget, download the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. You can catch us on Facebook, share those scores. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.